Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to Being on Stage, the only podcast that gives you motivation, inspiration, and confidence to be better on stage. No matter how you entertain, sing, dance, band, comedian, public speaking, MC, drag, burlesque, performance art, or street performer, this is the show for you. Hey rock stars, Reggie Dawson, host of the Being on Stage podcast, obviously. Welcome back, thanks for tuning in. You know what I've noticed, and I'm a people watcher, but I also, observe in the general, and one of the things I observe, I look at my podcast, how it performs, I look at my posts on Facebook, I look at the world around me, I look how people respond to news articles, things like that, like really insane level of people watching. And one of the things I've noticed in general is people need help, man. People need help. And I don't mean in a sense of like, you need help, you crazy. I mean in a very, very heartfelt and specific way. People need help getting unstuck. I think we can all relate to that. I can relate to that. I've been stuck a couple of times. And it's, truthfully, this is, and I'm kind of giving away some of my secrets here, so, stay tuned. Side note, I'm a performance coach. I help performers or talented individuals turn their talent, what they love to do, into a performance that they can put on stage in front of an audience, and then help them turn that performance into an experience for their audience, thus, building their fan base and their following and exploding into the performer and the entertainer that they've always dreamed of being. That's what I do. But getting into this podcast, people need to get unstuck, and I've struggled with it. And I can tell you right now, like, listen, I got really stuck just a couple of months ago. Like May, June, actually, and involving this podcast, okay? I was stuck, wasn't going anywhere. It was like the amount of downloads that I hear other people get that start like 2 months ago, triple my total downloads in a year and a half. And like, you get pretty down on yourself. And listen, this is not a pity me party. I don't have pity. I'm growing just like you're growing, and this is part of my growth. Is, going through these peaks and valleys. That's the life we all live. We're going to have really high highs and we're going to have really low lows. And I got into a really low low and I felt like I was stuck. Like, I felt like, why am I even doing this? I don't know what to do with this next. Do I keep posting on Instagram? Do I keep doing the podcast? Do I change up what I'm doing? And truthfully, what got me unstuck was making a commitment to do a podcast every single day. So listen, and you may be wondering by now, you're like, 3 minutes into this podcast, 4 minutes into this podcast, and you're probably wondering, who is this guy? Well, here's my deal, okay? I've always wanted to be a performer. I've always wanted to be on stage in front of people. I finally got the opportunity to do that. Actually, I had the opportunity to do it quite a few times in my life. First time I was 7 years old, 8 years old, completely choked, cried in tears in my mommy's arms. People pointed and laughed. Not really, I was 7. They thought it was cute. But it was very upsetting. I was traumatized. I didn't perform in front of people again until I was 18, with the exception of the 7-year stunt I did as a puppeteer for my church. That's behind a stage with my hand up a felt human's bottom, moving their mouth with my thumb. Yep, I said that. I sure did. So when I turned 18, I got in front of people again in the form of lip sync and a kind of dance. My wife calls me a stripper that kept my clothes on. Basically, I did what was called drag, but I stayed a man and performed as a man. I just got to express myself in different ways. I also got into karaoke. I performed for that. I performed at karaoke, and I know this is like so small time, it's not even funny. But I'm the guy that never made it, made a bunch of mistakes along the way, pissed off a lot of people, and I also helped a lot of people along the way become the performer that they wanted to be. And that's when I realized that I can take everything that I've learned from other performers and may or may not have implemented myself. I can take everything that I did that I know I did right, and I can take my mistakes and I can share them with other performers such as yourself in hopes that you follow the path that is, let's just say, perfect for you. I followed a path that led me to this podcast to help other performers follow their own paths. And listen, if you can avoid some bumps and bruises along the way from a guy that's been there and probably made just about every mistake that a performer can make, including starting a hate group for another performer. Yeah, did that. Yeah, so I take my mistake, and this is probably a total turnoff for a performance coach, but my thing that I'm doing here is I'm being real and I'm being authentic, but I take my experience and the things that I've learned since, and I give it to you in bite-sized little nuggets every single day. So I got to a point where I got really stuck, and as you can probably tell, I'm probably not the best performer. I'll give you that, but I know what makes a great performance, and I know that you have it in you to do that. Everybody has it in them. Like, 100% you have it in you to be this amazingly awesome performer. It takes some steps, and sometimes it takes a kick in the pants, and it's really difficult to give yourself a kick in the pants, but sometimes it's what you need. So getting unstuck, I'm like losing focus all over the place. Getting unstuck is one of the things that people struggle with the absolute most in their life. And as performers, we're no different. And I know I just went through all this negative stuff about me, but that's because I need you to know that I'm not perfect. I've gotten stuck. I've had mistakes. I've lived through some terrible, actually, and I've lived through some terrible things as a performer. And I want to pass it on to you in hopes that you can help yourself get unstuck in those moments that are crucial. And when I say those moments are crucial, they really are. Like the moment when you are making the decision of what you're going to do next and you feel stuck, that's a crucial moment because you should be able to continue moving forward. And if you feel stuck, if there's a catch, if there's something that's holding you back, you may need some help. And I guess the whole point here is I want to offer that to you. You know, if you're stuck, and it's really hard when it's your friends and your family and things, sometimes it's easier with someone you barely know. Okay, so listen, if you're stuck and you need help kind of making a decision or picking a path, and I know everything I just told you, and I know this sounds like a really strange offer, but you know, when you have something that you feel like someone needs to hear, and you have something that you feel like someone needs, you still got to put it out there, even though it may not make sense to everybody else. But listen, if you're feeling stuck, you need someone to kick you in the pants, you need someone to remind you why you're doing this, if you just need someone to believe in you, I want to be that guy. Like, I want to be that person that gives you that belief and that maybe even that kick in the pants that you need to crush your barriers, get unstuck, and continue moving forward into the performer that you are truly meant to become. It's waiting for you. All you got to do is step to it. You can either, one, send me an email, reggie@beingonstage.com, or if you'd rather, you can also just jump right in on my calendar. beingonstage.com/calendar will get you there, and I'll call you, and we'll talk for like 30 minutes, and then you will crush it. And just to know I'm a part of that, goodbye me. Keep on shining.